Good morning, everyone. Uh, Let me share my screen. Hopefully you are watching my screen full. My name is Sergio Trujeque. I dedicate my time and all the time available to support our customers, not only from the IT, but also from the business perspective at Fernandez Young. We are based in our offices in Vancouver. And in this pandemic, computers have become the key resource for doing work from home. All the companies that were reluctant to explore this way of doing business and this way of conducting our normal day-to-day operations, they have realized that first, it is possible. Secondly, it is absolutely necessary to do it this way today. So being said that, it is important that we take a look at our IT resources and understand what are the risks that are involved when we are operating from home or remotely, probably from a business center or hosting our servers in the cloud or in a data center. And there is a very well-known theory of risk management. You should remember that risk management is a concept that comes from probably 200 years ago. And of course, in the recent century, risk management has applied to many fields in the business. You can apply risk management to your sales, to your channels, to your human resources. And today we're going to talk about IT risk management. But first, let me show you the basic things of risk management, something that most people understand about the risk management. And I will divide this presentation just in three very quickly reviews of IT important fields, which is security, architecture, and business applications. Those are the three elements that we are combining every day since 1 or 2 months ago, working remotely. We are being exposed to certain risks, and we are defending our data if we have a security in place architecture, and also we are protecting our business applications, and probably we are exploring new business applications, just like Zoom. Many people didn't know about Zoom, and suddenly Zoom has reached to the sky because everybody is using this important tool to communicate. And just like Zoom, we are probably exploring another business applications. So let's remember what are the risks, or not what are, but what do we do with the risks? Unfortunately, many people close their eyes in front of a risk, or they just ignore the risk. But by ignoring the risk, it doesn't disappear. So any person whose first responsibility is to take decisions must understand that once he or she faces a risk, there are only 4 things or 4 actions that this decision maker can do. One is accept the risk. Accept the risk means that you will live with that risk without doing anything. And of course, that's an important thing for the company. The second is to reject the risk. I don't want to run on this risk, and then I reject it, and then I need to do something to avoid being in the situation of that risk. The third is you can transfer the risk. That is the things that we normally do when we are not experts in probably, let's say, protecting an asset, and you hire then an insurance, or you buy an insurance. What you are doing when you are buying an insurance, you are transferring the risk to the insurance company by paying a fee or a premium, and then the company is taking the risk for you. But you can also mitigate the risks. Mitigate the risks means that you do something so the risk level goes down or diminishes, and you are not exposed to a loss as big as it could be if you don't mitigate the risks. So talking about IT, I will show you just 3 slides. And the things that we need to understand that we need to know what we are doing. Sorry, that was a risk. uh, the idea is that we can answer what we have done with these risks or what we are doing with these risks. First, about security. Well, we have the risk of intrusion and we have the risk of infection in our files or in our computers. We have the risk of being attacked or being kidnapped, or data can be kidnapped by a ransomware. So when we face these risks, we cannot accept them. Accept the risk to be stolen or be hacked is very, very expensive. It could probably take your business, your company out of business. So definitely you cannot accept the risk. You cannot reject it because you are in the middle of the business. The only 2 things that you can do with the risk is transfer it, make someone take the risk of this, and outsource the protection of your computers, or you can mitigate the risk by installing tools. But how do you approach this? Well, first you need to understand what is the level of the risk. And an important medicine or antidote that you can use for this, and this is a recommendation, is first do a penetration testing. Penetration testing is a very easy now process, and you can be diagnosed, your whole network or the 100% of your computers can be diagnosed about how well your computers are protected. Your servers, your notebooks, your desktops, and even your phones, the phones that the company is using for being connected in this pandemic. The ID architecture, and we refer to the architecture in how have we decided to put the data in the computers. At this point, probably we have defined or we have made a decision where to store our data. We can have our data in servers, or we can share the data in local computers. Probably some of the people that is watching us now, they didn't have time to set up a server and put some procedures in place, and you're just sharing some information that is spread out in your computers. So there's a risk. One computer can be attacked. What are you doing with that infrastructure? Are you mitigating the risk of being attacked in only one computer, or your server is well protected? That is an important decision about architecture. If you are deciding to host or retain your own data, retaining the data at your offices implies a risk, a higher risk, that hosting your data in a data center that is well protected and that can probably offer you higher speed to work from home. Probably there is a risk of the age of your IT architecture. Probably your server has been working for 7, 8 years and is close to be out of support by the manufacturer. How are you gonna face that risk? Probably this is the time to replace the server, but probably it's also a good time not to buy it again, but to rent or share a rent with another business, not your competitor, of course, but probably a business that is also in your same situation. And at the end, remember that we are running one of the cases for a disaster recovery plan. The scenario of pandemic was normally the last scenario that we used to present to our customers when we explain in the past why a disaster recovery plan should be necessary. At the end of the important factors to build a disaster recovery plan, we used to mention a pandemic. And of course, 99% of our audience never thought that a pandemic will be the first factor. But then we are now living a pandemic, but you can also be exposed to another risk. Your server or your infrastructure can fail. Then you should have another type of reaction or another plan for not for a pandemic, but for a disaster in your IT architecture. And finally, the risk associated with the business applications. Business applications are different from the operating systems. Business applications are those programs that you use to store your data, to share your contacts, to buy, to invoice, to manage your inventory, to do your accounting records. Well, those applications need to be updated in a daily basis, must be backed up. And when we say backing up, remember that backing up has two elements. One is backing up the data, and the other is backing up the application. Totally different activities, and both of them are really important. There are companies that back up their data, and they don't back up their applications. And they have never tried to make a test. And what will happen if they need to restore the data and the application? Change control. In the middle of this crisis, every day we need to do changes in our computers. Some of our users ask us, I need to do a change in my configuration because I'm not having enough speed, or I'm having this problem. Every small change that is taking place in your computers or in your infrastructure needs to be tracked, and also needs to be authorized by the proper persons. At least two different levels in the organization should authorize a change in the configuration of any computer, and you should get track of these changes. And finally, your email. The email is probably the most important source of information where we store now things. Where is your email stored? Have you ever made that question? Is your email stored in the Microsoft Cloud? If it is, do you think you are responsible for the security, or Microsoft is responsible for your security? Do you think you can call Microsoft and say, hey, I just lost some data. Give me my data back? Do you think that is so easy? Security is always your concern, and you need to have in place some procedures to restore even the data that is in the cloud. Those are the most important things that we would like to share this morning. We will go in deep in each of them in the coming sessions, probably, or if we receive another questions or another topics that you would like to that we speak about, of course, we can do it. If not, we will be doing some examples in the next coming weeks about these topics that I just explained today. The faces that you see in the screen they need to know. These faces could be your employees' faces or your partners. They need to know that they are protected. And I'm not referring to them physically. They need to know that the job that they do every day that is stored in the way of data, that is protected, because then you are protecting the data and you are protecting your employment and their employment. This is for today, my contribution. If there is any question or there are some thoughts that we can share with the audience, feel free to ask and I will be happy to contribute with more detail.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sergio. I see a couple questions here. First one, is there an easy way we can do a quick assessment about our security?
Definitely. Very good question. Yes, when I see the word easy, probably means that not necessarily expensive. And yes, of course, the answer is also yes. By asking some basic questions, we have a questionnaire that we can apply to your organization. This questionnaire probably can be answered in 1 hour. And with simple questions, we can realize how exposed you are to any data collapse or any intrusion. And there are, of course, some other procedures that we can apply for our clients or to our clients if they want to understand how exposed they are. But definitely no more than 60 minutes to do this.
Good, thank you. One more. Does the penetration testing that you mentioned, does it only apply for large companies or can small companies do it as well?
Well, in the past, yes. In the past, these processes were so expensive. The penetration testing is an activity that is performed by very, very specialized technician, a computer guru normally. They are called ethical hackers. They are people that are absolutely trained to practice attacks that are controlled in a controlled environment, so they can find the holes or the risks associated with penetration in your organization. Today, doing this is not an expensive. I would say it's not an expense. I must say it is an investment. The recommendation is to do at least one every year. In the financial industry, this is a common request, twice a year. But definitely it's not only for big organizations. Penetration testing is suggested to any organization who depends on data to do business.
I have a question for Sergio, if I may, Eli.
Sure.
I am wondering if in this environment of COVID-19, are we more exposed to this type of attacks or less? And if yes, why?
Well, definitely, thank you, Jim. Definitely we're more exposed because the conditions and the circumstances that are now present are not under the same control that in your office. Probably some of our customers who are attending to this webinar, they are accepting that employees use their local computers, their home computers, to access companies' data. But you don't have control on the computers. You don't have control to install software updates, system operation system bugs or fixes that are released every week by Microsoft or Macintosh or Apple. So definitely the number of risks have increased exponentially under this circumstance. And then the risk of being contaminated is more. During the weekend, I received an email from one of our customers explaining, hey, I just got this message in my phone, in my personal email. They say that they got my personal passwords. And in fact, at least half of the digits that they have sent me in the email, they correspond to my real password. So have I been kidnapped, or my data has been kidnapped, or I have been stolen from my data? Definitely, Jim, we are most exposed. I would say that we are probably exposed at 500% more than in the environments that we normally control.